So really and truly, I just want to go through and just show you exactly what I've been working with, exactly how I use some of these presets, load them up, do a basic melody, and then source the strips from it. Just pure source. Yes, yes, yes. T-Real back on your screens to make some banging beats. So in this video, I'm going to keep it brief. I'm going to go over my 5 go-to Auv3 plugin effects that I use to make some bangers on the iPad. So I've been working on a lot of things, that's why I've been a little bit quiet. Been working on my drum kit, presets, trying to get placements, you know, all the stuff that entails when you're working as a producer. Whether it's rap, trap, drill, house, afro, club type beats, all genres under the sun, you'll be able to find some unique source from using some of these apps. So I've got some more content on the way, so if you like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell so YouTube tells you when I release another gem. Let's get into some of this sauce, come on. So I've got an empty session of Beatmaker 3 loaded up. So what I'm going to do is just going to load up a sound and just lay a basic melody or something down so I can preview some of the effects that I'm using. So I'll be making a few beats with the Lil Baby, Est Gee, that ATL kind of sounds. I'll just create sort of something simple just so you can vibe with. So I'm not even going to use the MIDI keyboard. I'm just going to drag and drop some of the notes in. Because sometimes when you're out and about, if you're using your iPad or on the go on your iPad, you're going to have to click into some of these notes. So what I'm going to do is go to my scales. I'm going to leave a link below so you can access some of these scales that you can load up, which makes making melodies, bass lines, anything so much easier if you're working with a scale. Let's go over minor because it brings out some of those kind of darker, more tense sounds. Let's go over E minor. We haven't got ghost notes on Beatmaker 3 yet, but I use the scales to the left as reference, so when I make my melodies I can just see them and make sure that it's all in the same scale. If you want to see me how I make some saucy beats from using some of these scales, you know, I'll leave a little link in the description, or I'll leave a little card up above so you can watch that video. I'll create a bang on that one. So what I do is I highlight all these, drag them out towards the first bar, then I start the loop from bar 2 up to bar 5, so we still got the 4-bar loop, but then we can just use the scales to the left as reference. What I've noticed with a lot of these Lil Baby and Est Gee type beats, you just got like a simple bass line that goes throughout the 4-bar loop, and then it starts with a higher bass line and it drops down. So what you find a lot in these Lil Baby type beats is a piano. And a piano, I think that's the best sound that I always start off with to create melodies. It's just that you can hear all the sounds and then you've got a good idea of what an effective sound will sound like. So let's just go on the piano. So the best piano I use on here is Pure Piano. I'd probably say it's next to Ravenscroft piano, but so with this Pure Piano, there's been an update where you can add some really nice effects towards the piano keys. You can add reversers, you can add a bit of detune. There's a lot that you can do on this one, so I thought it gives you a lot more flexibility than the Ravenscroft. Now, I'll show you a bit about that as well. Find a lot of Lil Baby beats is around about the 130 to 160 mark. I'm going to keep this strappy as well at the same time. As we're in the scale of E minor, let's start off with an E. E. Whoo, there we go. Let's key that in. Let's get another one in there. So you can do a lot to kind of get the lower notes. You can either move it down a whole octave, or you can drop it down a fifth, or you can drop it down a fourth. So in most beats that you hear, you probably hear it drop down a fourth. So
1, 2, 3, 4.
So let's look to the scale. So I'm going to go with an A. There's a lot of things you can do there. You can stick with the same notes and just move it up an octave or two. So for the sake of this, what I'm going to do is add another layer, and then over the top you always hear a little melody playing in the background. Some little yeah, it would probably be better if I play it. So I'm just going to add a little melody over the top. So you can go up another octave. So I'm going to stick with the E3. And then what I like to use, see these two notes here? These two notes here. They're what I call kind of like suspense notes. They're the two notes together which go really well for these dark trap beats. And kind of playing in between kind of like the root note and those two notes that you see here can create a really nice kind of suspense melody to use in the background. Let me just show you an example. So we're going to load up the keyboard. It's E. Then we've got the A. And then we've got the B. And then we've got the C. So we can go back down to the bassline root notes. So that's 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. But still keep that melody going. Something like this.
Is that bad? It sounds bad.
It is.
Went off a little bit on a note there, but nothing that a little note manipulation can't solve. So we can look back to the left. See, that's a bit out. Move that up. So what I do is, let's just create a duplicate. So one's going to be the bass notes, the other's going to be the top melodies. Kind of like these ones break down a touch. Right, now let's just get some effects in. So now we've got a little bass line, a little melody drafted up. Let's get some effects on it. So the first effect that I like to use is one called perforator. So this perforator is kind of like a gate dynamics plugin. Any sound that's going into it, gate kind of shuffles, or there's different presets to make the noise coming back out unique. So there's a lot of gate preferences and presets that can just change the way the sound inputs and kind of comes back out. And that's how you can create your own kind of unique sound. And this is what I use on a lot of my beats. So for example, we'll hit going around. So this is kind of like a little tremolo effect. Bar fight, you know. Everything's going hectic. Glasses getting thrown around, don't know what's coming from where. Yeah, I can see why this one's called bar fight. So if you're doing your little house tunes, club anthems, turn from trap to house real quick. So there's lots of different presets that you can use on here. So what you can do is just turn how much of the input's going into it, so you can have a little bit of the effect. So as always, you've got the ADSR here as well. So as always, you can mess around with some of the parameters inside. There's loads of different presets that go in, and the more sounds that you use, the more unique it will sound. So let's move on to app 2, Flux Mini 2. So I've been a great fan of Flux Mini 1, which is, I'll say, the iPad's equivalent to Shaperbox. So Shaperbox is mostly used to add movement within sounds, so it can just make something sound more alive rather than something being flat. So it acts as the envelope, so you can hear the scope of the music, whether you're panning it from left to the right or just hearing it go up and down. Those subtle movements there, to the brain when you listen to it, it just sounds amazing. So I know a lot of top producers use Shaperbox, and this is kind of like iOS's equivalent. So they brought out number 2 not so long ago, and now this one, it's just bigger and better. So you can hear it already. Just the little stutters, similar to a perforator, but I think this has got a bit more smoothness, if depending on what this kind of sound that you're going for. So you can have your low pass, so then you can just only hear the lower frequencies, or you can have the high pass, where you can only hear some of the high frequencies. Whatever tailored sound that you want in or after, this is something that can deliver.
Impressive, I know.
So let's turn up the sync. And as always, you can adjust the mix to see how much effect you want to put onto the actual sound. So this going in the background of the bass notes. So this thing's on point. So it's even just moving, it's ready, it's waiting. It's waiting for audio to go in so it can start doing its thing. Let's just mess around with some of the presets on here. So what's good is that if you want to add more waves, If you want to take away, you can take away. If you want it flat, so you can do your own. See, it's just completely changed the whole sound. So you can just mess around with the envelope. I might have to make a house beat, you know. These sounds, there's not even no drums going behind it, but in my head, I know what drums are going behind this thing. So many presets. So this is what I mean, how it can spark some creativity. This is how you can just come up with something unique. So this next app is Crystals. So there's a similar desktop app that's called Crystallizer. And I seen it and I was thinking, wow, I wish the iOS could do something like this. And this has been my secret sauce app that I haven't seen many people use, but believe me, the sauce and glitter that this can give is unbelievable. So what Crystals is, it's kind of like it's an ambience reverb type effect. And what it can do is just manipulate some of the sounds that are in there and just add a subtle delay, a reverse, just something which it's just sauce. That's all I can explain it. So if you have a little melody going on in the background and you want some ambient noise in the background, but nothing which is it kind of drowns out the sound, this basically adds a lot of dynamics and movements to it. So whatever that you've got here, whether it's a pad, whether it's a bass note, whether it's a guitar, this will add some high-end effects to it that you can just change or manually tone down, or just have different effects to kind of get a similar feel to what you're after. So there's loads of presets in here, and I'm still going through what presets I can use for different genre beats. But I'll just go through a couple on here so you can have a little listen. So I'll go through a lot of this Roker sound. I like a lot of his presets on here. So you need headphones to listen to the effect, what's happening here. But it's playing around with some of the little bit of the low end on this one. So do you know, like for hook or for build up, this is perfect. Hear the little rewind sound. It's beautiful. Sauce.
Keep stirring the sauce.
Crystals is beautiful. I'd advise anyone to go and get this. So another app that I like to use, so if you know me and been watching the channel, it's this one here. Slow Machine, in essence, halftime. So let's just load it up straight away. Straight away. Just kind of slowed it down a bit, but just give it a nice rhythm. So that low end, imagine adding effects to that. Oh, let's add some effects to that. Switched it. See, both of them different, but different sounds. Do you know what? Let's add some crystals on top of the Slow Machine. Let's see if it can bring out some sparkle.
Keep stirring the sauce.
Sounding ambient. Let's feel. Shoulders bopping. There's not even no bass or drums in the background. This is the one. So the last app is Looperator. So Looperator is like a suite of little effects that you can use to manipulate the sound. I use it a lot to kind of manipulate some of the sounds, just to give it a little bit of an extra sauce or make it sound a bit unique or different. And also I use it on some of my drums as well, mostly kind of like hi-hats, just to give to make hi-hats a little unique and just give it some variation. Right here you got your slice section. So with that, as you can see, it's chopped into 16 slices. So you can repeat any of these slices to kind of keep a rhythm going, or just loop it, or just like elements that you've heard before, just bringing it in later on into the loop. So here you can add more loops or stutters. So each of these boxes are effects. So here you can see it stutters it twice, it stutters, then lets it play, and here it just slices it. So it acts as kind of like a freeze sound, like a. And here is kind of like a reverse. So all these you can add some reverses in. And what's good with each effect inside of it, you can turn down the mix of how much you want it to do. So you've got your envelope filters here. You can add any different envelope sounds on there to make it sound unique. So let's just throw one in here. Let's go for a little wobble. And here you got your filters that you can use. So these are kind of like vowel filters that you can use, or high pass or low pass filters. And then here is a low pass or high pass filters. So let's just go for a high pass. So and here you basically got your different effects. So you can have your tape stops, it pitches it down, it can do a halftime, it can just add more envelopes to it. So what I like to add is a tape stop. So something like this. And here, the bottom one, just more effects. You know, you got freeze, so it's kind of like a stutter. You got half time that you can add on here. And then the other ones here, these can kind of go up or just create a little bounce as well. So there's a lot to get in this, and believe me, there's a lot that you can do. So if I wanted to add the half time for the whole rest of the loop, you can basically click on another square next to it, add this, drag it, so it extends it to however many slices that you want to go with. And not to overcomplicate the whole thing, but if you click in here, you can manipulate how each of those effects works. You can turn up the reverb, the reflectivity, so you can manipulate how that effect even sounds. So you can create your own user kind of presets in here. So these are my 5 go-to apps that you can use for any kind of genres. Believe me, there'll be some sauce in there. So just let me know in the comments below what kind of tutorials you want me to do, because at the end of the day, it's going to help give you a lot of value and keep me accountable for me to make some beats and just share the love to everyone. So appreciate you watching, and just let me know your thoughts and comments down below of the next videos that you want me to do.